So I mentioned in another video that I ran into Pastor Brett yesterday while I was at Ollie's looking for Bibles for Pastor Brett. And he got me this. King James Version Study Bible, personal size. It's printed in China by R.R. Donnelly. It seems fairly typical of Holman's stuff these days. It's certainly a tome. God's plan for salvation. I think I've seen this in other Bibles. I'm not sure whether it was in a Holman or... I think it might have been a Holman. It's got the Epistle Dedicatory, and surprisingly, for a Holman, it has the translators to the reader. You usually only find this in Cambridge and Cambridge reprints. How to read and study the Bible. A lot of prefatory material here. It's probably pretty useful. Each book has a timeline at the beginning and an introduction with an outline. Some pretty heavy annotations. All the way from here down is annotations on this page. And typically throughout. Some inline maps. Lots and lots and lots of notes, diagrams, etc. They don't seem to be using the usual King James text they use in their other Bibles, because it says or Sheba here in Joshua 19:2, where most of their editions have an Oxford text and say and Sheba. It does not have the translator's translation notes, but it does have ample center column references. Yeah, this text is more, I guess, Cantabrigian than you usually see in a Holman King James. It's still in the traditional format, verse by verse, pilcrows for paragraph markers, and very bright red letter. It has some sort of self-pronouncing text, although not fully marked. The notes do cast aspersions on the idea that Paul was behind the letter to the Hebrews, despite the fact that being a King James, it actually says, and this is one thing that differs from Nelson's, who tend to actually alter the title of the book of Hebrews to remove Paul from it. They don't. But they do cast aspersions on it. Table of weights and measures after Revelation, followed by a glossary of outdated language. And there's a little concordance in the back. Not as good as you'd find in something like a Cambridge or an Oxford or an R.L. Allen, but there is a concordance. Then there's a plan to read through the Bible in a year, and a second plan to read it through in 3 years. And typical Holman maps in the back. And although it's not any of the routes I would have put them through, at least some of the routes they show here do actually show the nation of Israel crossing through water, although not the Red Sea. For those looking for it for themselves, ISBN is 978 15864 09272.